show. This is another important video, so please make sure you share this with people so they can have an understanding of exactly what's going on. I want to show you, connecting the dots, exactly what's happening right in front of our faces without people realizing what's happening right in front of our faces, okay? Australia just passed their digital ID bill, which is a national digital identification. That will be a digital ID. You will not be able to buy or sell online without having this. And that might sound familiar to you because it's in the Bible, in the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 17, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. The digital ID ties into the mark of the beast. So start with that. Keep that in your mind about Australia's digital ID, which eventually will be in America and every other country, because this other story ties directly into it. Unikin, who is a biometric company, introduces their Palm Vein Biometrics RELID platform for banking security. So that might sound like some type of sci-fi thing to people out there. I don't even know what that means. Who's introducing what? Palm and Vein? Is that like just walking up to the register with your palm? Because your money is embedded in your genetic code. This is where people need to start connecting the dots with the mark of the beast and everything that just occurred in 2020 with getting certain things inside of your body called nanotechnology. Because ultimately, it's going to be inside of you. The initial rollout of the digital ID will not be inside of you. But ultimately, once people accept a digital ID, then we start moving towards having this inside your body. Just the notion of accepting a digital ID where you cannot do anything on the internet without having it is the beginning of this, right? People out there go, well, I have the internet now, and oh yeah, I've used PayPal, what's the difference? You're not gonna be able to comment online. You're not gonna be able to purchase things online. All things the government has strategically allowed you to do, not just for free in a sense of using the internet other than paying for your monthly internet bill. These are all things that we've all done, right? They've got us so dependent on making most of our purchases online, including with that outbreak that occurred, forcing people into making more payments and more purchases online because they weren't allowed to go to the store anymore. That was all strategically done. It's a new infrastructure. Remember, it's artificial intelligence governance, and everything is run through the internet. For those of you that don't know, www in Hebrew is 666, as in www, the World Wide Web. And of course, the internet that they ultimately want is the internet of bodies, connecting human beings to the internet. You will be connected to the internet. As crazy of a notion as that sounds like now, they've been conditioning you for it for a long period of time without you even realizing it. And I've mentioned a lot recently for people to try to give them an understanding who's new to this. Think about when we talk about all this futuristic stuff with uploading your consciousness. People just go, I don't even know what that means. I hear somebody saying upload your consciousness. People are already doing that on the internet. Go to a social media account of somebody that you know, or maybe even your own. And you might go back and read through your history and say, why did I post that? I'm uploading my thoughts. Some celebrity passed away and I decided to tweet out on Facebook or Twitter or X or wherever and let everybody know how I felt about this celebrity. Or something happened to me at work today and I just let the whole world know exactly how I was feeling. They're conditioning you into uploading your consciousness through social media. That is part of the conditioning that's been going on. So we have the digital ID getting approved in Australia, and it's going to be approved everywhere. They just pretend that they go into Parliament, they discuss these things because they want to make sure it's fair and it's great for everybody out there. This is in their plans. There's a 0% chance that this gets rejected. Just like eventually here, there's a 0% chance that the pandemic treaty doesn't get signed. It's officially definitely getting signed. It's just pretending to you and the people out there like they're trying to make sure it's fair to everybody out there. This is ultimately about global enslavement. So let me read to you about this company and show you what it looks like, okay? Because they've been using this out in the open. They're using it now at hospitals. They're trying to convince you. That's the next step. Convince you that this is what's needed to move forward into a digital ID that's biometrical. So this right here, this biometric payment thing, is through a company called Unikin. And what they're trying to do is offer an advanced biometric security solution for the banking industry. So in other words, all these other stories you've heard about bank accounts being hacked, fake cyber security threat after fake cyber security threat, it is to convince you that by having this stuff inside of you, which is ultimately what blockchain is going to be. You've heard about blockchain, you've heard about Bitcoin, most people go, I don't know what that means. It's to be embedded in your genetic code. It's going to be inside your body. So the biometrics is going to be you. You're going to walk in and out of places and your body's going to be scanned. You're going to have a certain something inside of your body, which everybody out there knows the experiment that was just done with getting a certain something inside your body. So this is the first look at what this looks like in regards to biometric data, and hospitals need to use biometric data and stores using biometric data. And ultimately, if you understand Luciferi's and you understand some of the stuff that's been being put inside of people where they can be seen under black lights, etc., stuff I've covered in the past. This is currently occurring, but sooner or later, this is going to be rolled out as something that you need to do to yourself in order to be able to be involved in online banking, involved in just basic society, because you're not going to be able to function in society without being hooked up to the system. They're not going to allow you to. There's not going to be a way around it once it's in you.
It turns out that the pattern of veins in your hand is just as unique to you as the pattern of skin on your fingertip. I visited Fujitsu's research and development lab in Tokyo to learn about their vein-based biometric technology. In this setup, the system is used to verify identity, to prove that you are who you say you are.
This sensor detects the palm vein pattern by using infrared illumination.
The module shines near-infrared light onto a person's hand. The deoxygenated blood in the veins absorbs the near-infrared light, while the rest of the hand lets the light pass through. A sensor in the module records the image of the hand, where the veins show up as dark lines. Then a software program compares the image against the template on record for that individual.
In this system, you have stored a template of your palm veins, yes? Okay.
Then the program announces whether or not there's a match.
That shows access denied.
Yes, red color means access denied.
Okay. Okay. So, yes, you're not Shinsaki. Yes, Shinsaki. Thank you.
Your vein pattern is also a more secure identifier than your fingerprints, which can be lifted from any smooth surface and reproduced. Because your veins are inside your palm, no one can see or copy them. In Japan, many banks already use vein scanning technology as an added security measure in their ATMs. The Bank of Tokyo Mitsubishi UFJ was the first to deploy the system in 2004. Shinsaki also showed me the company's next-generation biometric identification system, which uses both palm veins and fingerprints.
So when I press my hand on this sensor, 3 fingerprints and 1 palm vein pattern will be captured.
This system doesn't just verify that you are who you say you are. The extra biometric data allows it to pluck your identity from a database containing millions of records. One day, this could allow a customer in a shop to buy a magazine just by placing his hand on a sensor. And the R&D lab is still experimenting with new imaging systems that could be used for more precise identification.
In a hospital, nearly every door, every machine, every medicine requires a login. If you had to stop and enter your password every time, a simple surgical procedure could become a lengthy challenge.
Imprivata's products essentially give doctors and nurses a safer but also faster and more convenient way to do their work and care for patients.
Dr. Sean Kelly is an ER doctor at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, as well as Chief Medical Officer at Lexington-based Imprivata. Started in 2002, it now employs 450 people and has customers all over the world. They've developed various security systems, from fingerprint readers to security cards, to identify a healthcare provider and get them instant access to life-saving equipment. Now, they've invented this for for the patient.
There's a palm vein scanner that actually matches your palm vein, which is very unique to you as a human being and a patient, to your records in the hospital.
It's called Patient Secure, a palm vein biometric scanner. Using infrared light, it maps the veins in your hand in seconds, creating a digital file that quickly identifies you.
We can know as a doctor or nurse immediately who you are, if you're allergic to medicines, what your records are. We can better properly diagnose and treat you.
Every hand has a unique pattern of veins, and no two palms are alike.
Even a twin won't have the same image, and it will stay that way through your entire life.
Imprivata says it's more accurate than fingerprints and prevents patient misidentification, especially when you can't tell them who you are.
If you're comatose, you've been in a trauma, you're unable to give information, this kind of technology could save your life.
Once a patient enrolls, it links to your medical records.
You can use this at registration in the hospital, you can use it at your doctor's office, really any point of care.
So far, more than 12 million patients have signed up, and it's used in over 300 hospitals.
So believe it or not, it actually saves the hospital money because it prevents fraud and abuse.
So Patient Secure is currently in health systems across the Northeast. There's been a lot of talk, about the eye retina recognition,
Right.
but many people are saying this is actually easier.
No, I like that.
Yeah,
Very
cool. Right there in your hand.
Very futuristic.
So you might remember, as Gary said, look, you might remember Klaus Schwab. Remember that guy? Yeah, of course you do. Klaus Schwab openly talked about, remember, it's about changing you. And the biometric system is going to change you because it's going to alter your genetic code. And this stuff is going to be embedded inside of you. And this is how they're going to be able to track and monitor your every movement, your every breath, your every dollar, everything.
The difference of this fourth industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing. It changes you. If you take genetic editing, just as an example, it's you who are changed. And of course, this has a big impact on your identity.
And offer certain kinds of possibilities that have to be careful about. When you began to do that kind of gene editing, some people worry that you are changing what it means to be human.
That's the problem. And, of course, the new industrial revolution offers us many opportunities, but it raises manifold questions on the ethical, but even legal implications. And we have to be prepared for it, and that's what we want to do in Davos next year. So this fourth industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing. It changes you. If you take genetic editing, just as an example, it's you who are changed.
So one of the other things I've covered, in addition to talking about in this video, the digital ID in Australia, as well as the palm and vein biometrics that are now going to be rolled out and tested with banks around the earth here. Okay, the other thing to keep an eye on is I talked about it a couple weeks ago, and I know that it's not the most exciting thing to hear about and think about, but this is how they, on a back level, this is how they subconsciously backdoor you and start convincing you of having an online ID. So you might hear this stuff and be like, I'm not gonna go along with that, I'm not gonna go along with that, I'm not gonna go along with that. This is another method that they're currently using with, and I'm sure wherever you're located on earth right now, you've heard some of these stories about the scams, online scamming, people stealing money, AI impersonations, story after story after story. I've done a couple videos on it already. It's important to continually pay attention to this, because this is one of the subliminal ways that they're trying to tell people that they need a digital ID without telling them, because that's the ultimate solution to the problem that I'm about to show you. The problem is that people are online are dumb and getting tricked, right? I showed you a story with Keanu Reeves. A woman thought she was talking to Keanu Reeves online and sending him money. And we can all look at that and we can laugh and be like, how dumb can you be? But that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is we need something to authenticate the person, who they are, what they're posting and saying, to hold them accountable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is what they've been doing with Twitter and the check mark. This story here, a couple of them. This is them telling you why you should be so fearful of all this stuff going on online. They're not telling you what the solution is yet. They're not telling you about some woman who thinks she's talking to a Major League Baseball player, an 80-year-old woman thinks she's talking to a baseball player who is young in his 30s, that he wants to be with this 80-year-old woman. I mean, these are planted stories. These are likely Eastern Star witches. Some of them might even be real people who are duped. But let's think of the reality. This woman's getting duped, and what? She called Fox News and wanted to go on the news and tell everybody that she thought she was talking to a baseball player online because she's that dumb. No, because this is what they do in secret societies. They're all on board for the greater good and the greater agenda. And the greater agenda ultimately has to do with the mark of the beast and getting this technology inside of your body. So here are a couple stories again. And this is what they're telling you with these stories is ultimately for you to be accepting of a digital ID in the future. That's why they're programming you into being afraid of everything going on the internet, because you don't know who you're talking to or who you're sending money to, etc.
A new warning is being issued about AI imposters. We're talking about scammers who can clone any of our voices using artificial intelligence, and it's not very difficult, but experts have tips on how not to become a victim.
While some of us are still trying to avoid cell phone scams and phishing and emails from Nigerian princes offering us money, the expansion of AI is creating a new type of fraud called AI imposter scams. And experts say it's time for a wake-up call.
It's really easy to make up fake videos and make fake audios these days, and scammers all over the world are doing it to influence us in all different ways.
Last year, AI imposter scams reportedly became the #1 form of fraud, with over 850,000 cases, swindling victims out of some $2.7 billion. One of the most common is getting a call from someone close to us in distress.
Mom, these bad men have me. Help me, help me, help me. She begged and pleaded as the phone was taken from her.
That's Arizona mom Jennifer DeStefano as she testified before Congress last year of the horror of receiving a frantic call from her daughter saying she'd been kidnapped and that her abductors were demanding money. But as real as it sounded, it was a clone, a scam.
It was my daughter's voice. It was her cries. It was her sobs. It was the way she spoke. I will never be able to shake that voice and the desperate cries for help out of my mind.
Law enforcement in New York City tell Fox 5 AI imposter scams are on the rise here in New York too. Experts say there is one key way to protect ourselves, using a safe word or phrase or piece of information AI can't come up with.
If you ask it very specific questions like, hey, where did we meet? Or what did we have for dinner last night? The scammer probably wouldn't be able to use that as a response. So having some sort of quick challenging responses is good for everybody.
A 70-year-old Montgomery County woman says she is out more than $50,000, all because of someone pretending to be Philly shortstop Trey Turner. And she's sharing her story to make sure people are aware.
Meanwhile, police say that they're investigating and working with federal partners. Our Kelly Rule has the story from Talminson Township.
This Montgomery County woman who asked that we keep her anonymous is a huge Phillies fan and an even bigger fan of Trey Turner.
I followed his career. I'm a baseball fan.
So she says last July, during a bit of a slump for the Philly shortstop, she came to his defense on a social media post criticizing his performance. And a person on Facebook claiming to be Trey Turner asked if she could download Google Chat to continue the conversation.
I thought, is this a real Trey Turner? He writes me back at night and says, oh, thank you for your encouragement. Because of you, did you see how many hits I got? I got standing out. I'm thinking, something's not right here.
The 70-year-old, currently battling Parkinson's disease, says the messages from the imposter's Google account labeled Trey Turner got personal. She's happily married.
He said, oh, I love you. Like, what? I'm 70 years old. I have varicose veins older than this guy. It just started getting stranger and stranger. He started sending me photos of the real Trey Turner. He was relentless, but he was convincing. And he's repeating things that I knew about Trey Turner did on the ball field. Then he kept harping on it for about 3 weeks. And finally said, all right, what do you want?
She says the imposter explained him and his wife were not getting along and he needed help with various properties but needed to keep it quiet. The request for money and different accounts and ways to send it followed.
I was gullible. I believed him. I should have known better, but I overlooked it.
More than $50,000 later, she says she realized she was being completely taken advantage of and went to Talminson Township Police, who are now investigating the scam and working with federal partners.
We don't have any local suspects. We believe it's outside of the country, but we're doing what we can. Feel free to use social media, but be aware of anyone contacting you, especially the minute they ask for some money or a gift.
But,
she hopes sharing her story prevents a nightmare for anyone else. He put on the goodness of your heart.
Yeah, but he was so convincing. I'm thinking, I'm not stupid. But he got me. I just want to warn people, be careful of this. We're fine financially. He did not ruin us.
He didn't win, yeah.
He didn't win, is right.
So this is what we're headed towards. And again, the stories with the scamming, the stories with, oh man, scammed out of thousands. Oh, you're in a romance scam online. They're playing on people's heartstrings. And people out there seeing these stories over and over again, they're just making them scared of who they're talking to and what's going on the internet. And the government's going to come in with a solution. Because the digital ID will prevent all this. This will prevent it. And anybody on the internet who's writing racial things or hurtful comments, they'll be held accountable too. Because all the government needs to do is create a couple more false flags and then tell you that people like me are posting videos online, and then it's causing somebody to go create an event because they don't trust the government anymore. And the government goes, well, everyone has to be held accountable on the internet for everything they say, everything they write, anything that's anti-government, so we can know who a real terror threat is. And of course, the real terror threat to them is anybody out there that's critically thinking. So what you have, once again, is problem, reaction, solution. They need you to be on board with the digital ID. Most people have been so desensitized to what a digital ID is that they're going to accept it. Because they're going to go, what's the difference? I have a driver's license. I got to upload my driver's license onto the internet sometimes for verification. So what's the difference at this point? What they don't realize is that the digital ID is going to enslave them. Their every comment, their every email, their every single thing. There's no more soccer camp. People are like, I don't care. That's fine. That's all fine and dandy, right? They've been conditioning you with the internet, getting you used to life on the internet and dependency on the internet. Then most people, once the government says, look, you got to have this in order to use the internet, are going to have to go and get it because they're going to have to decide, can I live without the internet? Can I live offline? They've let you live online for 20 years now. For 20 years, waiting for you to be so dependent on the internet that you don't have a choice. You won't be able to buy on PayPal or buy on Amazon and do this stuff. You will not be able to buy or sell inside of their society without the mark of the beast. And again, I believe that it is embedded in your genetic code. I've been talking about it for years. If you disagree with that, that's perfectly fine. You're allowed to have your own opinion. Believe it or not, I'm still somebody who believes you could have a difference of opinion. I know in today's world, nobody can accept somebody who has a difference of opinion, but I can. And one way or the other, the digital ID, if you don't believe it's the mark of the beast, well, guess what? It's an enslavement tool. It's an enslavement tool, and this will be embedded inside your genetic code. So, to recap, you have the digital ID rolled out in Australia, coming to America. Then you have this palm vein biometrics, which is going to be used as a platform for banking security, which is why you hear all these stories about the convenience, like I showed you, of biometrics. Ooh, it's quicker. Oh, the doctor could save your life faster than typing in a code. And suckers out there believe that. While Klaus Schwab tells them what openly? That we're planning on changing what it means to be human. Well, in order to change what it means to be human, you literally have to change a human. And the only way you could do that is by messing with their genetics and getting inside their body, underneath their skin, right? Well, they tell you on the flip side to be very fearful of anything on the internet. You know, watch out, folks. Tom Cruise might be messaging you tomorrow, and it's not the real Tom Cruise. But don't have common sense and think that in the first place, right? I mean, the stories are just laughable, but they work on these people. They truly do. And people go, well, you know what? I might not fall for that scam, but my grandma might, and I think we should have a digital ID because we should protect my grandma. And all these people just don't realize how psychologically they get worked into this stuff. And it's coming. It's coming very, very soon. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're doing well. God bless you as always, and your families.